Record.
Okay, it is Wednesday, November 12th, and this is our meeting of the curriculum committee. All members are present. In addition to, we are joined by Brian Wood from the middle school, and we are also joined by Christine Kelly, Jessica Bradshaw, Brian Stumbaugh, and Carrie Martinez. I got everybody? Yeah, it's a big party tonight.
There we go.
Let's go.
All right. So, Karen, here's the agenda for this week, and we'll have you kind of go through it. So, why don't we start with the world language update?
Okay, so, and I will ask Carrie and Brian to join in as we go. So we're going to start with our world language update and thinking about the new assessments that we will be working with. Checkpoint A has already started, and then checkpoint B, as a reminder, our students who are in 9th grade will see that at the end of 10th grade. So the next slide. So Carrie and Brian, you are here joining us for this. Kind of wanted to talk a little bit about our past and our present and our future work with world language. So as far as teacher preparation for these new changes, we have our World Language Leadership Council, the monthly meetings that are going on that our teachers, have been doing over the, I know Carrie, go ahead and speak up, but you've been doing those all last year as well.
Since I joined Voorheesville, I have attended the Candace Black leads the Office of Bilingual Education and World Language, and she puts out a monthly meeting, keeping everybody on top of the changes that are going on in New York State with the curriculum. She does monthly meetings. They're free. Anyone can join. It's wonderful that if you can't participate, you can see them at a different time. We also have we're members of NYSFL. I recently attended the conference. I brought back materials for my colleagues on the new rubrics for Checkpoint B coming in the pipeline, as well as the changes in Checkpoint A, as well as a book for authentic materials. I was invited to be part of the Unit B, the Checkpoint B unit writing unit in the summer of 2023. I attended that. And we have been doing NICAL item writing as well. So as far as professional preparation, we have been preparing for this.
And I'd also like to add, I've been able to join you the past couple months. Some of the, we were watching that. I actually wrote down the name, the principles for creating locally developed benchmarks. That was an excellent webinar, really walking through some of those. Sometimes you think these aren't big changes to the test, and then you listen to this webinar, which really dives into, think about this when you're setting up a multiple choice question, or how are you using your authentic resources, that type of a thing. So I found, for me, having not had that background like you and Jen had, I found that very helpful. Wanted to talk a little bit about our student preparation, because that's the work we've really started doing this year. And we focused on grade 9 course, because again, those will be the students who take that checkpoint B first. And we're looking at some curriculum and instruction tweaks that can be made that will really help that interpersonal and presentational activities, some intentional focus on that throughout the school year. So also grade 8, and our teacher Jen Fold has been very helpful, because as you know, we've had some turnover there in middle school. So she's supporting our teachers there. But we've had some talk about scaffolding and confidence building with new stations. And for the future, we're kind of looking at then, of course, making some of those additions and changes to Spanish 3. I'm looking at our department meetings, but also even summer curriculum time for maybe working on a locally developed mid-year benchmark for our 10th graders mid-year. So we could kind of get ahead of that and see how we're doing. Those are links if you want to click on that. If you're able to go to the interpersonal presentational activities. So Carrie, do you want us to talk a little bit about that work if Mr. McCree can pull it up?
I have to change.
You may have to change screens.
give me a second.
Sure, I can talk a little bit. We've started with each of those, I want to call them topics. Carrie, is that correct? Topics or themes, and where they are in checkpoint A or checkpoint B. And then they're putting, our teachers are working together. So it's kind of nice that like there are many things that are in both checkpoint A and checkpoint B, where we can have an activity in A meeting the expectations for that. And then also, you know, a little bit more sophisticated version of checkpoint B. Carrie, did you want to talk about some of the work you guys were doing with it?
Right. So like the changes are like the presentational speaking is going to be based on these New York State themes, topics. So source cards are going to be provided. And the students have like 1 to 2 minutes to prepare this. And so like an example might be like of speaking, for example, your pen pal might have sent you a picture of their favorite space in their home, their bedroom. Respond to their email in which you describe your favorite space in your home with lots of details. So like instead of like a back and a forth and a back and how many exchanges do we have, it's more organic, it's much more natural. So they, you know, they have suggestions. So it's not as like, you know, this back and forth of like, oh, did they get those exchanges? Did they get the points? The students kind of talk naturally and we let them talk and just encourage them along the way instead of like making it be so like try to, I mean, I know Robin understands this, you know, because we,
Robin, Jake,
you know, but it's really
Forced utterances.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
forced
it's forced
output.
utterances. So you're really finding out as much as they can. They're giving an opportunity like to present what they know in a way that is not like outside of their ability. Like they should be able to do we want to set them up for success. So that's one of the differences. Another difference with these like, I'm sorry, give me a second. Like, so like that's presentational speaking. They're going to have interpersonal speaking. These are task cards. So they'll either be a role play situation or an interview situation. So like an interview example would be like, you know, like let's have a conversation about say like our favorite places in our town. I start the conversation. You have 2 minutes to tell me about your favorite places in town and like find out some information about what I like. So that would be in like the interview. And then the role play would be, and this hasn't changed, you're always the student and I'm always like either the teacher or the like director or an exchange student. So that's kind of the same thing. But like I start the conversation and you have 2 minutes to invite me to do whatever and, you know, tell me details about it. So it's not so many utterances back and forth.
More holistic, right?
Yeah, like more of an organic, holistic.
Probably can't keep going to different screens, but I was just gonna say,
I'm just gonna
that's
have to-
okay. I was gonna say, we could open up one of those, but these are, you can see that they're links and they've got activities that they've started working on. Mr. McCree, could you go back to our slide deck for me?
Also, I wanted to state,
I'm sorry, did anybody need any further clarification? I mean, I only went into like, you know, some of the
Oh,
speaking.
no, that's fine. Thank you.
I hope it,
Robin, does anyone want? I just want to state that this work is great because given turnover, right, or given the fact that we will have a new person starting shortly, which is good. You know, they have this work already for them that's been done. So as we get more people coming in, you know, we have a new A3 teacher coming in.
Yeah.
This checkpoint work is here. They have it. They have the ability to do it, and it's already been kind of vetted.
It's linked to our map too.
It's already linked to our map, so it shows that it's codified and kind of there, which is.
And some of this
a lot of strong work.
resources that Carrie has brought in from different places, you can see those are linked over on the
Yeah.
side too for that. We have a link to the stations with a bunch of different ideas that the teachers worked on together for that. Could you go to the next slide for me? But just as an example for Spanish 2, we had some great conversations about expectations, right? And kind of mapping backwards where we say, okay, so in this interpersonal piece, if in Spanish 3, they're supposed to be giving 7 to 10 sentences for this, what do we want to look at for the first half of Spanish 2? 4+sentences. By the end of the year, we talked about where do we want them to be at about 6 sentences when we're having these conversations. So we've kind of articulated what we're looking for at different points along the way using the state ed rubric. We also talked a lot about scaffolding, not just, well, the expectations, but also scaffolding, getting comfortable with the speaking, because we're really trying to engage more of that back and forth conversation. So just going back to some of the notes that I had, Carrie, from our meeting, talked about how to get the students more comfortable. We talked about the word web. We, you know, if they're going to be doing something on this topic, why don't we give them a couple minutes to think of all the words that they can think of on this topic, and then give one take one where they're sharing with each other. Jen had a great idea about doing a speed dating, so they're practicing. So even if that's going to be what they're going to be recorded doing, there's going to be a chance for them to keep practicing it with each other. And maybe the teacher drops in and uses the rubric to give feedback to the student, or maybe the other student gives feedback before the day where they actually either record it or do it in person. So we're really trying to look at how do we make kids more comfortable with this. Anything else about what we had talked about, Carrie, that I missed?
I mean, we talked about a lot, and there's a lot of changes coming, but I think, you know, the work that we're putting in is going to really pay off. The conferences that we're attending, you know, just being abreast of what's going on in New York State and all the changes. There are a lot of resources out there. There are a lot of opportunities for, you know, to work on this. And we're like working on it. You know, this is coming in, you know, not until the end of next year. So our current freshmen.
Any questions? Robin? You're the most, out of all of us, you're the most knowledgeable on this one.
No, it was not a surprise, anything
Yeah.
she said, so I personally don't have any questions. I mean, do you understand what it means when it's saying presentational, interpersonal?
It's a shift. So, all right.
You also shared with us last year.
Yes.
So I think Carrie and Brian, I think we appreciate your time. Brian, you've been really talkative. I mean, we couldn't stop you.
I'm glad I could provide insight.
Nobody has any further questions from me? I provided, like, there's a big push for authentic resources. I shared a document with Karen today. It was already on our map, our curriculum map. I added it to every single unit, but it brings up hundreds of really, really good resources. Robin, I would be more than happy to share that for your classes. It's a fantastic, authentic resource. I was looking at some of the videos. They're super, like, really comprehensible.
Yeah, thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you both for joining us.
Yeah, and I want to say again, yeah, thank you. for
Have a good night.
I know this is a lot of work, this undertaking that they have been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say that just publicly, that I'm very happy with the work that the department's been doing. They've been great. They've really worked to gather information and to implement some changes. We've done that in department time. So if I could offer anything to this committee, it's that we have 2 teachers at this point instead of 3. We're getting our 3rd on board soon, but they've done a really nice job.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you
All
both.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so now we're moving into our next visitors. We have Jess, our science department leader, and Christine Kelly, our math department leader. And Brian Wood, thank you for joining us as well, so that we can talk a little bit about the advanced coursework that we're doing in the middle school. My first slide here really is just to remind people about what we already currently do. And Kathy, you weren't here when we talked about it in April, but just to kind of fill people in with that. So, you know, we offer math at 7X, which leads to algebra for an advanced piece of math, and high school earth science in grade 8. Last year, we proposed doing piloting and open enrollment for math 7X. And we continued to use the acceleration rubric and had that kind of automatic selection through that of students who would be going into algebra or math 7X before algebra to be accelerated. But also we started this pilot where we thought about how about offering this out for anybody who would like to challenge themselves, who didn't maybe make it through the rubric, but feels like they would be a strong candidate for it, would be really interested in it. So we had like open for any, an open enrollment where we had a parent meeting, virtual meeting at night. The principal, Ms. Olson, and I did, and the parents and the students met with one of us to review their math resume to see how they were performing. We had we looked at state assessments that the student took those. We looked at the STAR assessment, which is our screening tool that we had, and their quizzes and tests, and we're able to have a conversation to say, you know, this is the average of the people who got in with the rubric. This is where maybe it was 500 and you're out of 480 or 490. You're really able to have those conversations. So students and parents were able to have an informed decision before going to say, yes, I definitely want to be in this because my friends in this class, that kind of a thing. We did put in a couple safety measures, one of which is that the principal and I monitor these specific kids every 3 weeks. So when the grade books are being updated or we have a report card, and we've already met twice on this. We have a third one on November 17th, which is Monday. And we go through and we check how the grades are specifically with tests and quizzes and how the students performing there. So that if there is a problem, one of the safety nets is we can have a conversation with the student, have a conversation with the parent if it's at that point. And there is really no harm, no foul to move back into grade 7 math versus staying in grade 7X.
And how's it working? Will be fine.
Well, we're into like week 10
Yeah.
or 12 or whatever, but we are finding that for all the open enrollment students, we've had one student that you've talked to, and we've had the ability to move. I'm concerned about talking publicly about that, but
So there's been a movement,
there's been checks and balances to
Right.
that, yeah.
and some students who have done it have seen success, and other students maybe
Have
have
made,
not.
made the choice not to remain. And we were hoping to figure that out early in the year, right, before it's too far.
But overall, you see the challenge being successful. I think that's the question. Kathy.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh, okay, yes, I would say so far, so good.
We do have a few concerns.
Yeah, I just would
Yeah,
like.
what other concerns that you have, Christine?
I mean, I'm definitely all for kids being able to challenge themselves and try to do the best they can. My concerns, it's early in the program yet, so I can't tell for sure. You know, Alyssa has told me she's got about 7 or so that are on her watch list. And my concern is just that it's only the first quarter and math gets harder as you go usually. So I do have a little bit of concern on how those kids are going to go continuing. One of the parents has told her already she's planning on getting her daughter a tutor. And I mean, I'm speaking from experience. When my son was in school a very long time ago, the advancing rules were different. And we had just asked his teacher what he thought about advancing him. And he did. He advanced him. And he was the low kid the whole time. So he was in an advanced class and he felt like a dummy. So, you know, and my experience was with him, you know, by the time he got through Algebra 2, he really was not interested in taking AP Calc anymore. So if somebody is already saying they're looking to get a tutor to get through the 7-8, we have some concerns. I know that's not for everybody, but I do worry about that.
Is I wouldn't want kids to feel like failures if they weren't able to meet the challenge and be turned off to future math, because there's a maturity component too. And I think, you know, you don't want to limit their math career because they couldn't make it in the 7th grade challenge.
Yeah.
I think that's important. And
I got
I
it.
really want to, I think it's important to monitor emotionally how the kids are feeling about being told, hey, you're not cutting it, we're gonna put you back in. Because as much as we say it's seamless and they just no harm, no foul, I don't think kids really look at it that way.
Well, and I will say, you know, that was definitely a conversation with the parents and kids, because we met with them
Yeah.
together
Yeah.
when we were doing that, saying, you know, this is gonna be challenging if you're doing this, and, you know, these are the things that like, well, you said we could move, yes, you could move back, but how, will it be harder to move out of the class? Or would it be harder just to, you know, start in math 7 instead of math 7X, you know, like how much do you want it, you know? I also think there's real, feeling of, I got in, you didn't get in. And I think opening this up takes away some of that. Because now if you really want it, you have that opportunity. And it is just I mean, it's a pilot.
There's a perception of some kids who didn't get in saying, "Oh, I'm a dummy because I didn't get into the eighth." So opposite, it goes the other end.
I
too,
think we
so,
have to
yeah.
be careful.
I think we do, and I think that's why every 3 weeks, you know, we're,
Middle school is
Yeah,
a very
no.
formative
Yeah.
time.
It
And
is.
Christine, I think Christine was going to say something.
sorry, Chris.
I just, again, talking to Alyssa, she had mentioned at one point that this is another thing that is, it's a concern. It's just that she says she has kids who are clearly nervous because they're constantly worried that they might get moved, you know, so, you know, and my concern on that end too is, I did tell her I would really like her to keep the level up where she normally teaches it. I don't want the kids who are, you know, who tested in to not be doing some of the things or the activities or the depth that she's done in the past because she's feeling like she has to hold back. So, you know, that is one thing I did say to her, teach it like you usually would, because we really need to see how that plays out. But there's, you know, definitely, again, good things about it, but I have some concerns. And until we see how it goes for a little further into the year, I don't think you can really judge it, but.
Right. So, I mean, I'll just add, so I agree with what everybody's saying here. From the outsider coming in for the first time, looking at the program, I love the fact that, you know, we're giving kids, parents, the opportunity to challenge themselves if they feel that they're up to it. The concern is you don't want to destroy their confidence,
No.
right? They might not be ready for it. And so I think one of the things that, you know, Karen's done a really good job is like really, you know, monitoring, the students' progress. You know, we, like she said, we sit down, we look at the grades, we look at homework, quizzes, participation. And honestly, I have conversations with the teacher on a weekly basis. You know, I stopped in this morning, we had these conversations about the tutoring, which is a concern. And and just, you know, about the fact that the math is going to get harder. But I think like we do have to make it, the one student that I had talked to with the parents, it was a good conversation, and it was an agreeable thing, and we made the switch, you know, pretty early. So I don't, you know, you don't want to keep the students going too long into the program if
it's not right.
Right. And so I think that's where we are right now. We've had 1/4 of grades and assignments, and so you know, I think there might be 1 or 2 concern, but other than that, I think kids are doing pretty good in there. And then the other part is, are they willing to do, you know, the extra work to keep up? And then the third thing we actually had talked about with the teacher today is, you know, some of them have such a hard time with their organizational skills and keeping on track, and they feel overwhelmed and just the organization piece, because they're young, they're 7th graders, right? And they're at that age, so it's good. We're monitoring it, and I think
That was interesting that you say that, because that was one of the comments that I made when we had our virtual meeting for the parents last year. I said, you know, you really want to think, what activities is my child already in? You know, if I'm in travel soccer and I'm also doing, you know, the play and I do whatever, like this might be more of a commitment than the regular math class. Is this, you know, like you really want to look at your whole picture and what's right for you and your family, instead of just trying to get in because it's an opportunity. It's a, you know.
And this is a different conversation than when you're a junior or a senior, and you're asking your child, your
Right.
kid is saying, I'm going to take 4 AP classes.
Right.
And you say, you're going to take 4 AP classes, you're a 3-sport athlete, and you want to do X, Y, Z. Do you think, can you do that? Right? These are the same
Something's gotta
conversations you
give
have
sometimes.
with older child than that you have with younger children.
Yeah.
It's not a different conversation.
I think there's a different level.
There is, but.
So-
I agree. I don't disagree
Yeah,
with that.
I
I
don't-
don't disagree with that. But so far,
Yeah,
Robin,
it's,
I saw your hand up.
Is there a point in the year where it's sort of like a deadline where students will not be moved back?
I don't think we've talked about that in terms of deadline. I think right now it's, the teacher really gets to know the students and their ability. She sees, so I think the conversation with the teacher are very, very valuable. And, if there's a concern that the teacher has, for one or two or three students, whatever that happens to be, we're having those conversations right now. And we'll probably look to, whether we contact the parent and encourage them to maybe move to rather than waiting. So I think pretty soon, within the next, probably a couple of weeks, right, you're gonna know if the kid's ability, if they're able to, probably make it for the rest of the year. So I don't foresee, us going too longer into this semester. I don't care. What are your
I
thoughts on that?
honestly don't know. I mean, I would think by mid-year, right? By the end of the year, you would know some of these, but
So somebody could be moved back to Math 7?
Hey,
for the
Christine,
third
what's your
and fourth quarter?
thoughts?
Well, I was just going to say, we did also talk about putting a final exam in place, which they haven't really done into middle school classes for a few years. But at least for that class, and Alyssa was definitely on board with the idea of coming up with something that would be also a good tell at the end to see how, successful it was, or if kids really should plan on going to algebra or maybe just going on to 8th grade after. So another place to catch them at least.
So like by the end of first semester, definitely this is where the children is, no drop afterwards. Are you saying like third semester, third quarter, fourth quarter, could they go back into the other math? Or we're saying after first semester.
Sorry, I was thinking more advanced, like at the end of the year, but
Oh, yeah, well, that's what they stop
Or-
first semester and then they continue, and then at the end of second semester, the
They can still
evaluation is
decide.
there to make a decision.
right,
forward.
right. There's still that evaluation. So if they're not placed based on their grades now.
The final assessment too.
And what I was saying is, I think by the end of the first semester, I don't foresee it going into the third or fourth quarter. You will know, where that student really is placed appropriately or not.
I just
know
think,
September, we didn't have any tests, we didn't.
Go ahead, Christine.
I was just going to add that I just don't want, I just worry about the kids, as Brian's already mentioned it, just, having that discouragement side of it. So, if we reevaluate midway through the year and then kind of make the decision from there, because there are kids that are probably equal ability that are getting, 95s and 96s in the regular class, but those kids are getting an 86 in the class they're in. I don't know how that makes them feel about it, but it's something for a discussion if they're at that level at that midway mark, I think.
I like 86. I still think that's a good.
Yeah, 85 and above is master.
Yeah, 85 and above is mastery. So, there's no shame in that. Anything else for math?
I don't think so.
Right.
Thank you.
Christine, have a good night.
You too. Sorry about my camera.
Okay, did you have any questions for me or am I?
I
Also-
think we're going to the
We're
science
going
now.
right
So
into
here.
science.
Okay. So for science, I'm sorry, were you going to talk first or was I? Sorry.
I was just going to mention that I know that it has come up about expanding it to science.
So why don't you just talk about the
You
process for science now?
Yeah.
So everybody's
Okay.
good.
Perfect. Right now we have a rubric that we've developed for a very long time, and it's based on the first 3 quarters of science and math and students' work habits, lab safety, so like maturity's in there a little bit. And like students also, they don't have to be in accelerated math, but we found that it's helpful when they are, because when they are in high school science courses, like chemistry, for example, it certainly helps to have that stronger math background. And the thing that we
Just
really,
a quick question.
Yep.
If they're in accelerated math, do they already automatically get into accelerated science?
no, it's like
Okay.
it's like an extra point that they would receive on the rubric. And the rubrics, like I said, we each month each quarter we'll go through and evaluate them again. And what we've found is that it really helps us get to a place where we're comfortable, because the problem with like offering like an open enrollment for science versus math is there's a couple of issues, but the first one is, in order to take the high school earth science class, students essentially are skipping 8th grade science. So they're missing the foundations. They're missing chemistry and physics, which is a major concern for us. Especially the high school teachers, they can notice it. Just even little things like basic lab safety. If they've never, used some of the equipment with Joe when they're in high school, now all of a sudden they have to learn how to do it, which isn't a big deal. But when it's several students, it starts to get a little bit more worrisome. Another problem is because of the fact that it's two totally different classes. If they were not to be successful, they can't just easily swap into a class that they've like a different version of the class. They would go from earth science to either physics or chemistry based on what part of the year they're in. So they'd miss, it would create the learning gaps. There's flexibility issues with the scheduling. And I feel like because we're still piloting math, we would feel more comfortable seeing how the open enrollment goes with math before we were to jump in on science with that. I do have to say that it has been my experience that it does seem like some students take it hard if they're not offered the acceleration. So the thing I like most with open enrollment is the fact that students, it doesn't have that like, oh, I got in, you didn't get in feel to it. I like that it takes that away. I almost wonder if like just even an application process would take some of that away. So if a student had to apply to be considered, then if they didn't apply, then that might take a little bit of the, oh, I got in, you didn't. Oh, well, I didn't apply. Because at the last month, when students do know who has been invited and who hasn't, students really are hard on themselves. And it's heartbreaking to see that they internalize it at times. So I feel like, oh, sorry.
Is there parent challenges? Well, I know the answer to that because we get them every year, and I believe that occurs where some children, after it's a challenge, do get into the program. Is that correct?
Yeah. So basically, we have this. Students have to have a 90 or higher in both math and science in the first 3 quarters. And if they do, they're automatically just placed into this rubric, whether they've applied or not. We don't have an application process. So if they fit that criteria, they go into this rubric. And then once they're in there, they're pretty much, they'll earn their points. And we do it, I believe it used to be under like the middle school guidance section on the website, but it's broken up in like 4 points, and then there's not a place for 3, 2, and 1, or 0 points. And then it really will like start to, you'll have chunks of students, and they'll really be ranked. So when students and their parents are concerned with where they fell or how they compared, they can just look at that rubric and say like, okay, well, like this number, like maybe 23 was the cutoff and your student was like a 21. So yeah, that's close. So then they can start to evaluate and think about like, okay, what happened? What was this difference? But other times it might be a much bigger gap. Still other times, some students don't qualify even for the rubric. So we've gone back and we've gone through the rubric, and even though they weren't, ranked like within the rubric with that first time, we'll do that. And so the parents can see like where their students, and the students can see where they kind of fit in for it. So they have a little bit more of an understanding.
Couple things that,
It's up to you. guys.
yeah, something that I,
What's the group thought on the science acceleration? Any questions on it? Any thoughts?
I'm not in favor of it.
I say I do not like open enrollment.
Mhm.
And I guess I always challenge that with, could students then do that, say, for sports? Well, geez, I was trying out for varsity, but they kept me on JV. Can I challenge it and really get on varsity and prove myself? Could somebody try out for the play and be like, well, I got put in the ensemble and I know I could be one of the lead characters. I just wonder I feel like in those domains, we accept it when a student is said, I'm sorry, you don't meet the criteria. But in this instance, we don't, and I'm always curious why that is.
You're
Because,
saying tryout. There's no tryout for this.
yeah.
no,
This
but
is
it's still
selection.
perhaps if you had not originally met, like with the math particular one, students can still then open enroll and go in and we can check
Yeah,
up on them every few weeks.
I would say
and-
we do at high school level encourage, from quality piece, right? We try to get more people into an AP to challenge themselves, even though maybe, where it's not based on, oh, you had to have a 97 or 98 or 99 in that class, we are hoping that students will do that. Now, that being said, that was a pilot, and the reason why I looked at math over science, there's a few reasons for that. Jess has already kind of mentioned a couple of things. One was that where do we put you? You can't move out of this and go back into science the same way you could with math 7x to math 7. Another thing is that for math students, if you don't take algebra as an 8th grader, you don't have the opportunity to get to calculus. You're not losing out on anything with science. You can double up. You can take all 4 of those types of science. You're not missing out by senior year just because you didn't take something in 8th grade. That's another reason why I kind of like that math opportunity. Whereas I don't say I'm against ever going with open enrollment for science, not at all. But at this point, I'm not comfortable with doing it for science as well myself. And we also have a lot more data points for math. We have the STAR, we have the ELA, or the Math New York State Assessment. We don't have those data points for science along the way. So another piece for me to say, let's see how we're doing with math before we'd ever go to science. That's just my personal.
We also have the lab component too that plays a part in there for scheduling wise as well. So just as if, just to add that in there as well.
And 8th grade science provides a lot of foundational science that when they skip it,
They miss
can
it.
cause
And you know
future
what?
issues.
The new tests I've had both teachers and our coach say to me, that's stuff that they need from 8th grade math, or for 8th grade science, excuse me, from chemistry and for earth science, for both of that for the tests.
Because we didn't let any of our 3 kids who all qualified do. And I also think we know we have an epidemic of anxiety in students. And I just think all this pressure when they're 11 and 12 is ridiculous.
Well, that's kind of my question with both the math and with this is, are you finding that students that wouldn't have necessarily been slated for the open enrollment or who might not are opting to because they want to or because their parents want them to?
I will say in my interviews, there was, it's interesting. I mean, it depends on the family. That's all I can say. I saw both.
But peer pressure is intense.
Oh, it
And,
absolutely is.
and it gets intense even when kids start going to college, where they're going and who has a sweatshirt and yada, yada, yada. I've lived through all that. Thank God it's over. But I just think,
Yeah.
That's better right now.
yeah.
Has it presented a problem that students are not always able to take calculus their senior year? Because I know that has been discussed last year, that this is, sort of could help us do that. Have we found we're lacking in some way? We don't have enough students taking calculus? I'm just
No,
confused
I
with
think
the
I think it's
connection.
just the opportunity and people, being able to, part of their applications for college, people who are going into fields that require that, like to have had that background maybe.
Can I pipe in on that too? I was just gonna mention, that's one of the things we talked about. I think I know a lot of bigger districts have more kids that take algebra as 8th graders, but I feel like in a bigger district, there's probably more elective options when they get to be a senior. So really the only reason, as Karen said, to do this is if they're looking to take calculus. Otherwise, there's really not a reason to take the class early. But, you know, if at some point we had more options later, it would be nice.
I wouldn't say it's the only reason because it does free up schedules for all kinds of things, but yes, that would be the reason why I'm thinking you'd want to offer that.
If you're
Because I
going
wouldn't
to-
want the kids to then not have math senior year
Correct.
before they go off to college.
I agree.
Right, but they can take pre-calc, right?
Or statistics.
They would
They
take
would-
that as a junior.
As a junior. Right, because they took algebra as a freshman, or as an 8th grader, not a freshman.
Statistics. I know my daughter.
Yeah, they could take.
Oh, yeah, they could take statistics, but they could take that anyway.
Yeah.
Taking algebra as a 9th grader.
Correct.
Have you found though, in a lot of like the more prestigious engineering programs that kids have to take their track anyway?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that accurately. You know, I know a lot of places when you start, they want you in their track, but you know, it's great if the kid is going on for them to be able to say, nope, I've already had calculus, even if I have to take it again. But I don't know how many of them are going to go on and need that.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions?
So are we deciding whether we're offering open enrollment at?
I think
at
we're doing a
science?
check-in and
I think it was just a discussion.
Okay.
I'm not making any decisions. All recommendations would come from Karen, so, and that would be from Jessica and Christine, so.
Well, is the lone non-educator out here. I appreciate the discussion. That's why I was very mute when you're.
Yeah.
You very, you're in your lane and you very clearly have opinions on this. I'm just kind of taking them in. And
You can say stuff, Matt. We
so-
want to know what you.
No, I don't know. I will if I'm certain in my views. I'm just taking this opportunity and taking it into, because it's so pedagogy driven that, I think it's a good discussion to have. And I generally understand that, the ideas at play. But it's definitely been very, very helpful. And I look forward to the next check-in and what everybody else say about it.
Okay, well, Christine and Jess, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jess,
Thank you. Bye. Enjoy your night.
Time.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank-
Okay. This is one that came up at the board meeting for a conversation about what should we do with this information, and I said, let's table it and bring it here, so go ahead, let's have the conversation.
I mean, I looked at the different
Yeah.
programs. I thought the media literacy, considering you were thinking of adding a component of that anyway, might be really helpful. I mean, it's been a while since I've been here, but I thought Anne Frank is covered pretty, or used to be, is right, pretty well, I think. Not that, this is a different perspective. It's more like, what would you do as a bystander, or at least that was my takeaway from that. So I thought the media literacy, especially with all the, the world we're living in now, might be really helpful for kids. And the hate speech and the other things that we're being exposed to.
Logistically, what did you learn? Like, in terms of looking into it?
I honestly didn't look into it that much, to be very honest with you. It's the idea of we can bring it in, it can be used on however you want to. It really is, I don't want to push anything out to a department or to a building without their conversation and directed curriculum. I could bring it in as superintendent and say, hey, we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be brought in, and you're gonna do X, Y, Z, but I will tell you, they will not like that. Right? It will not go over well at all. So really, I wanted to bring it here, have the board share their information with the director of curriculum instruction, and then have the director of curriculum instruction speak to the department chairs and principals about what they want to do. If I do it as a top down, it will flop very.
Are they already aware of this as a aspect?
So I would love to hear their thoughts in terms of how it can dovetail with what's already being done in the classroom. I really do like the idea of the media literacy piece of it. I don't know that it's mutually exclusive. I mean, maybe able, I think you can pick up to maybe two different kind of programs that they can put on. But, and I would like, because I know part of the early discussion maybe is, maybe I'm imagining this maybe it happened at the board when it was raised was, is this something that maybe we just bring in for maybe a diversity fair?
Like the community day,
the
yeah,
community,
that's right.
or do we, I mean, my preference would be now, logistics have a lot to say about this, and sometimes that can't be changed, but I mean, my preference would be that this is something that would be during the ordinary school day and come as close to being mandatory as possible. But I really do, particularly given that it's, well, I understand cost free. And I think it was originally raised because the New York State Division of Rights has partnered up with the organization that's doing it. And so, I think that's certainly a sign of credibility.
I think if a department sees that they can build into this, like associates department, or English department could add into it, it adds credibility to it, or like if a building says, we as a group want to talk about XYZ and bring it in, I think that's where we're going to get the most momentum out of it. And that's like, I wanted to have that kind of conversation here, saying, bring it to the principals, bring it to the department chairs, share with them their thought processes on it. I don't know if it's really fit for elementary school the levels.
It
of
looked like
things.
even,
No.
it looked like a five
I think
eight
Yeah,
was
it's
Anne
for fifth
Frank
grade,
and
but
7-12 was
Yeah, like the older.
type of media literacy. That
My
was what
concern-
offered for the younger.
only comes into if teachers, like you say, it fits in with what they're
Yeah.
doing, because what always comes down to is, I have so much to do in this much time. What am I giving up to do this? So, but if it fits seamlessly with something they're already doing, great. Because it might.
And that was my concern, is if we just bring it in and say, all right, every English department, because English and social studies easy.
Well, and English often gets.
Right, they get hit with this, right? So you're right, like every school district, either
And they
English
are
or social
doing
studies,
media
they're
literacy
doing it here.
lessons.
Sure.
And I say, you come out and you go here and you go do this, it's taking away from something else. So getting that conversation, I think at the department level is probably going to be the best option. What do you think,
I
Karen?
think so too.
And so English is already incorporated.
So we
literacy,
started working
9-12
on, out of,
They're doing media
K-12
literacy.
media literacy. And up here, 6-12, we've got a couple lessons worked into every English class, from Common Sense. So that they would not be who I'd necessarily ask, because it's already trying to fit that in, but
Yes.
if they found that it worked beautifully, or we had something where they said, you know what, we've got that January half day, and we're always looking for those things to do that are a little different, or what, then maybe it fits in somewhere else like that. Like,
That's a good idea.
so I could talk to our chairs and leaders and see. what they're thinking.
Good, so we're going to step on it. That's good. Any other questions on that? I thought that, Brian, you don't have to stay anymore. I was looking, I'm like, wait, I don't think we're anything with middle school anymore. Does anybody have anything for Brian before he leaves?
Thank
for
you,
your
Brian.
time.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, good. So then we'll go to the department chairs and then they can talk about doing something. Perfect. Awesome. All right, so then I wanted to talk about a couple new opportunities that we're looking into. So let me give a career exploration internship program, and that's work-based learning. So 2018, the district, I believe it is Kelly, am I correct in saying that? Kelly and Karen, because you guys were here prior. There was like 1 year of it that they tried to pilot here and go through it,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And then again stopped, and then there's been no internship programs. Over the past couple years, there's been interest in internships. We had a student who had an opportunity to do it with Homeland Security over the summer. Unfortunately, we don't have a program. They couldn't do it. Because of Department of Labor, because of all these other issues, it's very, very prescribed. New York State Education Department has very clear expectations of how you do this, and they've worked with DOL to be able to make sure all these things happen. So this is what the overview is. I just kind of want to share it in case you're not familiar with it. I did kind of put up some overview. So it's a work-based learning program. it's approved by NICET. It's a NICET program. It provides non-paid internships for age 14 and over for career exploration. I had another parent call me over like a couple months ago because they have CS Arch is interested in their child doing an internship at that architect. Again, we have no program here, so therefore the kids can't do it.
So we need that approved program.
You need the
first.
approved program in order for our students to do internships.
Even in the summer?
Even in the summer. Yep. Homeland Security would not do it because they don't have a program here and they didn't want to set up their own program. So the child lost out on that opportunity. Kelly, you're looking.
Well, I guess maybe because it's not called career exploration, but there have been what my kids have done my daughter did an internship on top of like she did the New Vision program.
Yeah.
But she then, because she had time in her schedule and she just had a teacher overseeing her.
Correct.
Well,
That
that
teacher
was
is a
the-
certified.
So when you
working-
say programming,
I'm going
Yeah.
to keep going.
Okay.
Yep. So,
just
yep.
They have
And
it
your
as a-
daughter, can I say
It's
the school
illegal.
district? Can I say the school district?
sure.
Burn next Westerville, right? So,
No, I
so-
don't know that it was like, again.
Nope.
And well, my husband oversees them and he's not a trained.
correct. You
doesn't
have
any
to have a
sort of-
teacher who
With
is
a
part of that
work-based.
program. Correct? Maybe not. Well, we'll find out.
But wasn't he in that program? in
No,
Bethlehem?
he is, but he's the one overseeing all the internships, but he doesn't have any sort of extra.
So this is what I'm learning. So as I've been checking, so if there's other things out there, I will find out because you'll see in a minute. So help students explore, connect to real world classrooms. The key requirements that you need requires on-site hours and related classroom instruction. So there has to be related classroom instruction for nice.
It's the tough part.
Yeah.
Well, the classroom instruction or some sort of presentation.
Correct.
Resume.
Work.
Can it be
Something.
an independent study?
It could possibly be, I have to find that out for sure, because they have to have teacher interaction. And there's supposed to be time in on that. So next steps, I've spoken to Burn Next Westerlo. They currently have a program, Kelly, as you're aware. And so I'm looking at possible partnerships with them to piggyback on their program. So Bethlehem, yes, Kelly kind of mentioned that as well. I've spoken to them. Lisa and I are going this Thursday, or is it you and I or Lisa and I?
You and me. sir.
So Lisa and I are going on this Thursday to look at their program, what they're doing there, and seeing how we can learn from their program. So Matt, you're correct. Could it be all these things? I'm not sure yet. So we're just in the phase of looking into it and possibly partnering with either of those districts or both of those districts
Have it
who have the
already.
program already, like as a DL or kind of like an opportunity for our students to be able to get this internship ideas. So any thoughts on that? I just kind of wanted to, anything you're saying, no, don't do it. Yes.
I think it's fabulous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I
Very
think it's
exciting.
a great opportunity to rule in and rule out careers for
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
And
And they can get credit.
I'm not so concerned, I mean, we don't have kids that aren't making their credits, can't
Yeah.
graduate.
Right.
And even for my own children, I don't care whether they get credit or not. I want you to have the opportunity, because if this is not the pathway, I'd rather you find out now than 2 years into college. And I just think that, well, even if it's, and I don't know how, if it's possible, because but even just opportunities for job shadowing that aren't full-on internships, but that you can just a day here, a day here, a day here, and go, oh, now I want to go down this path.
And that's why I'm excited for Bethlehem because they're doing this program.
Right, so
They're
this,
restructuring it.
this
So
is different than what my husband does.
that's why I'm not sure exactly what. he
Right.
did. So, but this is like that program. So we're gonna learn from them. They're very interested in partnering with us. When I send over the question, they're like, yes. I'm like, this is great. Like, let's have this conversation. So hopefully I'll have a better understanding of it and update for you, but
Was Gilderland had this in 1977.
Yes.
It was called the Senior Alternative Experience.
and did you-
And because if you were done with all your coursework.
Yeah.
You would do it. And I had 4 distinct internships and it,
Now, did you have to have an on-site coordinator from the school district back then, or was it like?
they found them through, I mean, there was like a teacher advisor,
Mhm.
but then you had to connect with the outside and very influential in who I became kind of thing. And I think it was very, very valuable. And as you
I
said,
remember you
showed
telling me that
what
years
you
ago.
wanted to do and what you didn't want to
Yeah.
do. And it was.
And I don't think we do a good
Highly
service for our students if
No.
we don't have something like this.
So,
I mean, I think we've had a nice, the last few years, we've had even, well, you did a volunteer fair, there's been career fairs where it's not just always college-based, but like exposing kids to the opportunities, because that's what, when my daughter was getting ready to go, she's like, Mom, but what if I don't want to be a nurse? I'm like, guess what? Most people don't know at 18 exactly what, unless you're going to be a teacher, that this is your pathway. You can, it's easy to change and go in different ways. And that's, you know, all those more opportunities and exposure, because who knows all the jobs that are out there.
I always think of Kathy saying that to me with a college advisor kind of
Right.
thing, like there are jobs out there that you have no idea
Yeah.
exist, and
And
just
there will
having the
be
knowledge that this is
in the future.
something there for you, right?
So hopefully this will pan out for us to be
Yeah,
able
it'll
to
be
get something
That would
up
be
and
wonderful.
started. So I'm kind of excited. and
Yeah.
We're hopeful on it. I will tell you, the volunteer fair was, I think, a huge success that they did this year. They also do the career exploration lunches where they have,
Career
have-
cafe.
Career path.
yeah, career
Yeah, I
cafe
think
where they
those are
have different
marvelous
careers
too.
come in and the
Yeah.
kids sit down, they actually work on their lunch
They have a
skills.
business
Like, I
lunch,
mean,
yeah.
that's a huge
Yeah.
deal.
It is.
I will tell you, my daughter is actually starting volunteering at St. Peter's. So like, there are these volunteer opportunities that are different than
Credit.
credit, like
Sure.
these work-based learning, and she has early release, so she's gonna go, or she has like rivals, so she'll have these opportunities. So it all fits into what we do here, which is great.
And I'm not sure the credit is the driving force.
It's not,
No,
but
it's
for,
not,
but for work-based, for NICE,
Yeah,
that
for-
is- they have to have.
Because
some
there's
of
so
those.
many 54
Right, I get it.
hours or whatever you
Right.
have to do,
Right.
and
In fact, that was why my daughter was like, I don't want to do this because I don't need the credit. I
Yeah.
don't want to do the extra paper I have to write. I
Yeah.
just want to go and do the work
Right,
with the
well-
kids. I was like, I know. just-
But that was, the Department of Labor component was a whole new thing for me. When I started looking at it, oh, and they won't allow you to do it because it's supposed to be unpaid, and then, there's a lot more to that. It's like, oh, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all
Right.
new.
Yeah.
So hopefully this pans out. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Bethlehem's got a whole career exploration thing going on Thursday. So I'm gonna go see that, and then we're gonna have a meeting afterwards to talk about how we can partner. So, and I know Burnout Festival has been very supportive of doing partnerships with this as well, so.
Good.
And the next one is actually really cool. We got an invite to RPI. They're doing a new course on semiconductor technology and microchip design
for high school.
for high school students. Yeah,
Got it.
So-
That's exactly what it is.
and they're looking at doing this. And so they're working with the semiconductors, they're doing all these things, and they're partnering with, what are they partnering with? I thought I had that.
You do have it on there.
Siemens.
Siemens, yeah.
Yeah.
So they've actually built the whole, I have it on here, they actually have a whole curriculum. Let me pull it up so you can see it. Excuse me. Like,
All those screens.
this one, yeah, okay.
Did you ever go over to the nanotech open house?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool.
You're
So
just like,
this one's really neat. So they actually have a whole course syllabus. They're gonna walk through everyone who goes. They've talked about the whole course. I mean, they have it all mapped out,
They have teacher material.
teacher materials, everything that's going to be, what your resources are. They want to help with schools do a transition seamless into offering this into your curriculum. So I just thought it was an amazing opportunity. So we're
After science.
This is.
science.
Okay. And what does your certification have to be to teach this?
This is what we're gonna go
Okay.
to, right? So we were, so that was a really good question, because this is where we weren't sure, but it talks about all the different things, and engineers must balance process and speed. Like, I mean, it's all this. I mean, I just started to look at it, I couldn't really understand all of it. Create, maintain engineering notebook for daily reflections. I mean, I thought this was amazing. The resource that they're offering to school districts though, and to children.
And they're trying to get that pipeline, just like Kathy
Yeah.
oh,
said.
yeah.
So- No, this is a pipeline,
I
which
mean, I
is,
appreciate it, but it's not.
which is great though, right?
Which is great.
So, we were talking with Lisa Cardello, Karen, and I were like, who do we invite? How do we invite them? So it's gonna be Karen, myself, and Jess Bradshaw for now. And we're gonna go and kind of like see where it is,
She's
learn about
science
this.
and tech.
Yeah, so she does science and tech, Karen's director of curriculum instruction. So we're gonna go and we're gonna kind of learn about this program, how we can offer it, what can be done for our students, and if it's viable and how we would do it here, but I just think it's a great
So do
opportunity.
they provide, I know you said they have a whole curriculum, but do they provide like summer PD for teachers?
Yes.
They do.
Yeah, they're gonna, so this is what they basically what they said is they are going to make sure that it's a seamless integration into your systems. So summer PD, support, all the different things that are gonna do, it includes teacher materials and teacher training. So I'm very interested. It's next 21st.
21st,
Yeah.
next Thursday?
Do you see a place that this fits?
I'm trying to see how we can fit it, is what I'm doing, but you know what, I think going to that presentation to really hear it instead of just going through a couple of their invite to you.
Yeah.
Will really
so-
help, hopefully help us.
Right, we were thinking maybe it goes into science and it could be taught by our physics teacher, could it be taught in that realm? Would it be
So
math,
we'll
would it be
get
tech, we don't,
Keep going with that,
right,
but I don't know.
I don't know, so
We'll learn.
we have to learn about it first. But I just thought it was a great opportunity that RPI is like
Oh, yeah.
looking at pushing this out to school districts and inviting schools in to learn about it.
And do you anticipate they will tell you who it's geared towards, like juniors or seniors?
That's what we're hoping. I'm hoping they can give us a little bit more clarity on
I'm
what they're
sure they're gonna want to
expecting
be
in this.
flexible with everybody.
Yes, but generally by senior year, you kind of know where you're trying to apply, so if you're really trying to get them into engineering, you might want them junior year
Right.
to then spark it, but I don't know if it's.
I'm hopeful that this will be something that we can bring in, but I think there's a lot of, that's a great question. What grade level? Could it be ninth graders? Who knows? That they're looking at the
Right,
curriculum. I
what
doubt
prior
it,
knowledge do
'cause-
they need?
And when is this?
The
Next Thursday.
21st.
Okay.
Yep, so we'll have a better understanding of that.
And do we know, it's obviously stated,
Don't know any of this yet.
Okay.
Don't know, so these are probably all gonna be questions that are gonna come up on the 21st, is this aligned? Where would it fit? What credit would it fall into? Would it be science? Would it be math? How would you go in with that, or tech?
I would think stay on this, like,
Oh, yeah.
right,
yeah, I don't know if it already is, but they would be.
and I would hope RPI
That
knows
would-
enough to.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're gonna give a whole, it's a nice 2-hour chunk that they have for us. So I think they're gonna give a lot of information.
It's Friday, is it Thursday or Friday? 21st.
The 21st,
whatever that is.
whatever.
Have fun.
Yeah, I thought I just thought they were two new things that we're working on now that I just kind of want to share since they're all kind of up and coming now. So hopefully we'll get something out of contraction.
And I know you retracted the, financial
Yes.
kind of things. Where are we going to go with that? Since we're, like,
So we are no longer going to do the Brigham Young University
Right.
programs.
So
So we offer the programs here already. So we just aren't going to
is
offer
it
an
still
online
a
component.
grad requirement?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, it's just, that was a supplemental online program that the district of offering. We're not going to offer that anymore. We're just going to offer the in-person programs. Anything else? All right. Okay. And I don't know. Stop recording.